like to talk about Alzheimer's and an opportunity that we have to cure this most serious disease. We can find a cure for Alzheimer's, Madam President and my colleagues, and we can do it through American ingenuity. No obstacle has ever been too great for American ingenuity. We have defied seemingly impossible odds in the past. We've eradicated polio from the entire North American continent and for most of the globe. We have mapped the human genome. We've been to the moon. We're going to send somebody to Mars. We can conquer Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's was first discovered more than a century ago. And if you think about it, Madam President, we only began human flight about 100 years ago. And think of what we've done in human flight. It just boggles the imagination. We need to cure Alzheimer's here at the beginning of the second century of this disease. We've made progress in understanding the disease, and yet we still do not know how to stop it. We don't know how to slow it, and we certainly don't know how to prevent it from happening. Alzheimer's continues to cause profound human suffering. It affects 5 million Americans who have the disease, but not only them, it takes a toll on family and friends forced to watch their loved ones slip away. And I can tell you from personal experience, I know what I'm talking about. Last month, Time magazine featured Alzheimer's on the cover. A radical new drug could change old age, the longevity issue, and there's an article in here entitled Alzheimer's from a New Angle. I think we need a new angle to address Alzheimer's in using innovative drug trials, like the magazine indicates, but also in a new angle concerning the use of prize competitions. I propose that Congress should look at Alzheimer's from the angle of using the X Prize Foundation and using a suggestion that has been endorsed by a number of organizations that have thought long and hard about this. I introduced the EUREKA Act last fall as a way to reinvigorate the fight against Alzheimer's and related dementias. EUREKA stands for Ensuring Useful Research Expenditures is Key for Alzheimer's. EUREKA. We have found it, and we can find a cure for Alzheimer's. This bill could be the beginning of finding a cure. Finding a cure is our ultimate goal, but it will take steps to get there. My bill would create prize competitions to reward breakthroughs in Alzheimer's research. Now, I want to assure my colleagues who are very interested in NIH funding, EUREKA would not be a substitute for any dollars that are going to current research funding for Alzheimer's. That would continue, and it ought to continue, and we ought to do whatever we can to expand that. But EUREKA would be in addition to what we're doing at the National Institutes of Health. Prizes would be awarded for a number of advancements, perhaps drug treatments to early detection methods. The best part is there'd be nothing for us to lose, because with a prize competition, you pay only for success. Without success, the American taxpayer pays nothing when it comes to the EUREKA bill. And I'm grateful for the bipartisan support that my bill has already received in the Senate. 35 of our colleagues have sponsored the bill, and I believe by the end of the day I'll be able to announce 36, Madam President. I hope even more will lend their support. Alzheimer's is certainly not a partisan issue. It's a national issue, and one of the great challenges of our time, not only from a human standpoint, but from a budget standpoint. Alzheimer's is a major spending issue. It's responsible for $226 billion a year, $226 billion a year. And the estimates are that by the year 2050, those costs will be $1 trillion per year. Now, we have a $19 trillion debt right now. Think of the additional debt that will be piled up unless we tackle this issue and get to a cure. And think of the savings. Think of the other areas that we would be able to address if we didn't spend so much of our Medicaid budget on Alzheimer's patients, so much of our Medicare budget on Alzheimer's patients. Now, experts say $2 billion in research funding is needed to prevent and treat Alzheimer's by the year 2025. This remains the goal of the Alzheimer's plan, and it remains my goal. But that's a much higher number than we can afford at the NIH level right now. However, by fostering public-private partnerships, as the EUREKA bill would do, we can build on current resources in new and exciting ways. These partnerships would help unleash the power of American innovation and the power of American competition to encourage people from different backgrounds and sectors to work together in pursuit of a life-changing discovery. This can work. Prize competitions have worked in the past. When Charles Lindbergh achieved nonstop flight between New York and Paris, he won a $25,000 prize and helped inspire the aviation industry that we know today. Another example of success in this concept is the X Prize, and the competition's currently sponsored by the X Prize Foundation. The X Prize Foundation has been promoting technological breakthroughs for more than 2 decades. In 2004, it offered $10 million for the first reusable manned spacecraft. This prize competition generated $100 million in investments by competitors. A $10 million prize generated $100 million in investments by competitors. In 2011, a skimmer that accelerates the cleanup of oil spills was awarded a $1 million X Prize. So this can work, and it will work if we'll give it a chance. The bottom line is that we need America's best and brightest minds working on Alzheimer's right away. And we need a way to reward success. Deaths from Alzheimer's are on the rise. Its costs already exceed those for cancer and heart disease. Now think about that, Madam President. The cost for Alzheimer's per year exceeds the cost for heart disease and cancer put together. So we need to put our emphasis where the need is. I want to thank all of the organizations who have come together and endorsed this concept. I want to thank my friends at the X Prize Foundation. They stood with me last fall and endorsed this concept. This legislation was designed with the help of the X Prize Foundation, in consultation with the X Prize Foundation, and they know what they're talking about. So thank you to the foundation for doing that. I also want to thank the following organizations who have endorsed this concept and specifically endorsed the EUREKA bill. A group called Us Against Alzheimer's, the Alzheimer's Association, the Alzheimer's Foundation of America, the Bright Focus Foundation, and the Mind Center at the University of Mississippi Medical Center in my capital city of Jackson. Also, a group called Leaders Engaged on Alzheimer's Disease. They all agree that by unleashing this concept of a prize competition, we can cure Alzheimer's disease, and I hope we will try. This bill is generating support and dialogue for finally putting an end to this devastating disease. Let's pass this bipartisan legislation. Thank you, Madam President, and I yield the floor.